One of the main selling points of coming to UT is living in the city of Austin and the campus's close proximity to downtown. Getting around Austin? Well, that's another story. So onto the scene comes the Austin Bike Share program, a $2 million attempt at providing more transportation options and reducing traffic in the city. It sounds like a great idea, but for it to be a viable transportation alternative for UT's more than 50,000 students, the program has to be convenient, comfortable and fast, and relatively inexpensive. I decided to try out the program to see how well it performs in these three categories. First, is it convenient? As of right now, the bike share program has a total of 0 on-campus locations, which is an inconvenient start, especially when Cap Metro buses pick up at what seems like every other corner. Luckily, the program is expanding to add 3 new near-campus locations, including 2 on Guadalupe Street and another near the Blanton Art Museum. Although it's slow and poorly designed in comparison to the Cap Metro or UT app, the program does have an app that shows you your proximity to a bike share station, and it even tells you if there are bikes available. So, once you get past the faults of the app, it can save you a few minutes. Once I found a station, I proceeded to the kiosk to check out a bike. The sign-up process also got off to a slow start, with the screen being difficult to read in the sun. Not to mention, there are a ton of options to click through, including a terms of service, which I didn't read. Finally, you swipe your credit card, pick a bike, and you're off. The initial sign-up process is time-consuming and frustrating, and to add to that, after your pass expires, you have to repeat the entire sign-up process if you decide to use the program on another day. It should be noted that the program does offer an annual pass that lets you circumvent the entire process and simply press a button, tap your card, and get on a bike, which is way more user-friendly than using the kiosk. From the locations, to the app, to the sign-up process, getting started with the program was definitely less convenient and more involved than, say, getting on a bus. While you can pay for convenience with the annual pass, this rocky start was enough to make me worried about commitment. But now, onto the bike itself. All in all, riding the bike was a surprisingly mediocre experience. The oversized and heavy handlebar was particularly cumbersome and made the bike hard to steer. The seat is also uncomfortable, but just about on par with your typical road bike. Those minor annoyances aside, the actual ride was smooth. It should also be mentioned that the bikes look ridiculous with their oversized baskets on the front, but looks aside, the city does provide ample bike lanes that make it easy, fast, and safe to bike around town. Now, the real kicker. Price. To get a 24-hour pass, it cost a whopping $8. That pass allows you to only use the bike 30 minutes at a time before having to re-check in the bike. Essentially, it's a point-to-point system not meant for just cruising around town because it charges you an additional $4 for every half hour you go over the initial 30 minutes per ride limit. That means you have to hope there's a station near where you need to go, that the station is not already filled with bikes because then you'd have to find another station to dock it at, and that someone doesn't take your bike while you're away and leave you walking to another station. But in regards to the $8 price tag, let's compare it with Cap Metro, which offers a $2 day pass for buses, which is actually a total of $0 if you're a UT student thanks to the discount. The bike share program doesn't even offer a student discount. Now, granted, buying an $80 annual pass would bring the cost per day to use the program down to about a package of ramen, but even then, it's a question of how much use you can get out of the program on a daily basis. So, let's jump back to our criteria. As of right now, the program is far from practical for UT students, with the closest station being past the Capitol. However, once new stations are added, it will be only slightly out of the way for most students. As far as comfort and quickness, in general, the bike share holds up and is probably one of the most efficient ways to get around in this regard. Finally, the price. Yes, it's steep and will probably be the factor that drives most students away. It just doesn't make sense to pay $80 a year when you can get a used bike off of Craigslist for just a little more. So, while the bike share has the potential to be a great way to get around, with its current out-of-the-way locations and hefty price tag, it is a far from perfect solution for UT students.